Welcome everyone to the Voices of Terminus show. I'm joined by Josh. Say hello, Josh.
Hey guys.
And we have Lex with us as well. Say hello, Lex.
Hello everybody.
In the background we have our wonderful moderator Shy. Say hello, Shy.
Hello.
And today we're joined by Chris Kane, the voice. Say hello, Chris.
Hello everybody.
So we're here to interview Chris today and talk a little bit about Pantheon, get to know a bit about him personally. But before we get into all the Q&A stuff, we have two announcements to make. So Pantheon Radio are doing a competition that starts basically tomorrow on their website, and anybody can enter, and it's basically, let me go and pull it up. You have to click on the globe. I'm going to give you a direct link to the competition itself. You answer 4 questions, you enter your email address for that competition, and then basically at Christmas Eve is when the contest ends. And then you can up. Let me mute myself here. Click on the globe. I'm going to give you a direct link to. Oh, okay, so on Christmas Eve is when it ends. It starts tomorrow, so basically the 1st of December and ends Christmas Eve. And the winner will win a Champions Pledge. So that's that competition out of the way. And like we told you guys last week, we'll be doing a giveaway ourselves during this show. And you can see on the screen, we have this wonderful t-shirt, Welcome to the Light, that you can win during this show. During this show, all you have to do is enter !light to enter yourself in. And then at the end of the competition, it runs for about another 40 odd minutes. After the end of that, we will announce the winner, and you will have to just wait for your prize to arrive at your doorstep. So, ! to enter. And Josh, do you want to go and start this all off?
Yeah, sure. I'll start you with an easy one, Chris. Tell us about a bit about your gaming background.
My background, well, probably starts with, at least from the MMO genre, would be EverQuest in 1999. That's probably where it started. But I've been a gamer since Atari 2600. So nice. I've pretty much experienced pretty much from the beginning to right now. But as far as MMOs, it started with EverQuest. That's my primary passion was diving into that world and experiencing as much of that universe as I could. Wasn't a role player per se when it started, but definitely found a new passion in life to just dive into a world that I had only imagined before playing, Dungeons and Dragons, growing up as a kid. And this was just, it came out of nowhere and just fell in love with it right from the beginning of, in 1999, just fell in love with it.
Nice.
Very cool. When it comes to grouping in an MMO, do you have any preference between friends that you have in real life or friends that you strictly only know online?
Either or. Actually, I prefer the friends that I know online because, being online is like a great filter. It allows you to find the people that you are interested in and they are interested in things that you do. And you're like, I'm an explorer. In an RPG, I like to explore a lot, find different nooks and crannies in the world and see what I can find that nobody else can find. But you usually stumble upon people doing that very same thing. I remember when any expansion launched, when Velius or Velius, I might get in trouble if I say that wrong, launched for EverQuest. I remember, exploring that and running into people and just exploring with them. So I definitely sort of prefer the people that I run into online. Oh yeah.
So that means that you will create new friends as and when you play new games, type of thing.
Oh, definitely, sure.
Mm-hmm. See, it's kind of funny because I'm of a similar camp there. I prefer my online friends because when something goes wrong in a group, I don't want to have to deal with that in the real world.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
corpse in real life could be a challenge.
Right, especially when they know your number. Now I'm a bit of a tech junkie and stuff. What kind of home PC setup do you have?
I wanted to say I'm a geek when it comes to that sort of stuff, but my system is pretty beefy. I haven't upgraded yet to the RTX stuff, RTX 2080 if people are familiar with that. I'm running a GTX 1080 at the moment, an SLI, which is just overkill for anything that I play. But for the most part, everything is within a year or two old at the most, because I need a lot of horsepower to render a lot of the audio and video stuff that I'll create, as you guys probably know.
Oh yeah,
that's good. So just leading on from that, I mean, are you planning upgrading your system in any time in the future for Pantheon when it comes out at any point?
Well, to be honest, I'm not 100% certain it's going to require, the engine is going to require me to upgrade at this moment, unless, judging by the last graphics update, it could, if they start adding, different features and different sliders to their graphics engine. It could, but at the moment, the only thing I'm really considering would be the ray tracing, the RTX stuff, but I'm not even sure they're going to be able to take advantage of it. Is it Unity, or I'm not sure if it's Unreal or Unity.
Unity.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if that engine can even take advantage of it. But that would be the only thing. And actually, it's ironic you asked that question. I just bought more RAM for my system, so yeah, that can.
Well, what are you up to now?
64.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So, getting back to MMOs, do you like to craft at all?
I'm probably the opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to that. I actually have never found a crafting system that in an MMO that I really didn't enjoy. And I'm going to give you a weird example, but I played Minecraft, a ton of Minecraft. And when, I remember watching the streams when Notch was coding it, and all during in dev, we were looking forward to what he was going to do with Minecraft. And the crafting is so simple and so just intuitive that I really enjoyed that, but you'll never get that in an MMO these days. Usually it's a very in-depth, and I think the last MMO crafting system I actually enjoyed was Vanguard. That was probably my last one that I enjoyed participating in. I'll give you an example of terrible crafting, which is, I'm not sure if I'm going to upset anybody, but World of Warcraft, I've played WoW since 04, and World of Warcraft is just, it's gone really downhill with their crafting. That would be an example I would say stay away from. At least
Oh yeah. When it comes to crafting, is there any particular trade that you kind of gravitate to?
Yeah, usually blacksmithing. Blacksmithing or metal craft or something to do with hard labor.
I can actually see you with
gotta get as metal as you can get.
A leather apron on there, wielding a hammer, slamming that metal. Yeah, I can see that.
Oh.
Nice. So what class and race are you typically drawn to when selecting a character to play?
I'm afraid I have to be pretty boring with my race selection. I usually gravitate towards human. I don't know why. I think it's because I started out, playing EverQuest as a human, but I just tend to associate with, I would say, the mediocrity of being human. I can immerse myself a little bit deeper when I know I'm going to be a human. However, after reading all the lore for Pantheon, that last video I did on halflings, just everybody, going to Lord of the Rings, come on, who doesn't want to live in the Shire or, in Sorhyrith or something like that? It's just, it brings you to this place of peace and, a thing that you just want to live in. So I might try halfling. As far as class, for the most part, I would say melee. But it depends. If and when, or when and if they ever announce the Bard class, I will severely, align myself with going to a Bard. But for the most part, human warrior is where I start.
I think the servers will crash when Bards get introduced to the game. I think there'll be 1,000,001 Bards running around immediately.
Yeah.
So
1,000,001 Bards, but probably only 10 good ones.
Well, they are pushing to try and get the Bard in, before when the game releases, so it's available. So they're working hard on that. So you might have luck.
I hope so.
Yeah. So
More old necromancers are going to get the shaft for now.
They're going to be forgotten by the time the game releases.
No, they will not. I will see to that. When I don't play a tank, I prefer a necro. Although, with my not so recent foray into EQ/EMU, I've gotten to be very pleased with bards, and bard is up there in my class list.
Yeah, bard was one of those classes for me that, coming from such an EverQuest-y background, that it was of all the classes, I think, in the beginning at least, you could tell a good player from a bad player the easiest with a bard. You got a bad bard in a group, you knew he was bad. The good ones really stood out. And if, Pantheon lends itself to allowing a player to sort of shine in their skill level, it'll be a good thing no matter what the class. It would be, I don't care what class it is, if you can distinguish between a good player and a bad player, the ones that you want to group with and the ones that you don't, just by their skill, their play style, it's got me hooked.
Yeah, I can agree with that 100%.
Exactly. So you've obviously seen all the videos for Pantheon and noticed all these things. What was the first wow moment that you had when you started to follow the game?
It was, well, I mean, it probably goes back to the beginning. It was the community aspects. It was the things that have been lost over the last, I would say, more than a decade, I think, when accessibility was the catchphrase in game companies, that we have to make it accessible for more people. Profitability, yeah, I get it. It's going to work to generate more profit, but the instant you say accessible, you will lose community. At least in my opinion, that's the way it seems.
Or at least the community. Well, I guess you could say the community kind of gets watered down because then it's more quantity versus quality.
Sure. Yeah. You don't give enough people, or you don't give enough time for people to find the things that will bring them together. Like the group finder. I love, it's like a catch-22 for me, the group finder. Any group finding tools have to be very inobtrusive, something that's, hidden behind the scenes that maybe will allow you to see, people you've in your vicinity, whatever the case may be. But the minute those group finding tools, I can't even count the number of times I would join a group playing World of Warcraft, and as soon as the boss is done, you're just out. You're gone. You're done. No thank yous, no nothing. And I usually stay
hey,
around
that was great, guys.
Yeah, I stay around on purpose at the end just to start chatting, and nobody wants to do it. So
it's ridiculous.
It's just gone now. But community is when I just got hooked and saying, okay, the fundamental things that got me hooked on or in an MMO, they're mostly gone now for the most part. Not all gone, but most of them.
Well, hopefully they're going to make a triumphant return.
Exactly. Because I think things are going down a certain path in a rut, which I think everybody's just sick and tired of now. So
that's what I witnessed as well when I went back to WoW with the group finder. Got myself into a group, and I basically told them from the get-go that, hey, I'm a returning player after being 10 years away. I'm still getting used to this class. If there's anything I need to watch out for, let me know. Nobody reacted. They rushed through this dungeon. I had to look where they went. They got to the end. After 5 minutes, the dungeon was done, and that was it. The group disbanded. I was like, wow, this is what it's about.
Yeah.
I even went back. I mean, as much as I bashed on the game, I even went back, and that's exactly what I ended up dealing with. It was you run in, you snatch up as much loot as you possibly can. If something gets in your way, you blame and yell at somebody else, and then you leave and try it again. It was even when you're victorious, it wasn't fun.
Yeah,
true.
But to get back onto a little more pleasant topic, out of all the potential starting areas, which one are you most excited to see, and why?
That's a tough one. I mean, I keep coming back to the halfling only because that's so recent in my mind. But that and I would say King's Reach, whenever it's finished, whatever that happens to be. But King's Reach and Thronefest would probably be the area I just want to sort of live in for a while.
Understandable, especially if you are a fan of the humans.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is fine, you know. Being, you know, I've only played human. I'm on the same page as you. So you know, you're not alone out there. But you know, this time around, I'm going Darkmere, definitely for my main class. But it will be always between human and Darkmere for me.
Have you made a decision on your main class yet?
I'm on the fence for that, actually. You know, it's definitely a battle between the cleric and the druid. You know, the druids. You know, I've always played druid. Played a warden for 12 years in EverQuest 2. So I'm you know, really in love with that class. But the druids, you know, different this time around with the. Go on, Josh.
And also, I mean, you can say about any Brad game. I mean, if you look at his previous attempts at the MMO, his classes will always be interesting. So what you think you're going to get as a standard class might not be what is out there at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's nice to experiment and to try and see what other classes he produces.
Yeah. So if you had the choice of starting in a new starting area or a single area where all characters spawn, which would you choose and why?
The prior, starting in a sort of area that's a new starting area for myself. I wouldn't want to be in a lumped in, which is kind of why I come back to when I think about spawning into a world. Even though I don't play it anymore, Minecraft was kind of interesting the way it would plop you into just a world in the middle of nowhere. I really do like that, being just plopped into a world that I have to go find and explore and make my way there. Quest hubs and starting cities, I get the need to have them, but I find that's immersion breaking right off the bat. It doesn't lend itself to me to want to explore when I see 100 other people running around. I've always felt that, you know, an experience with, or I should say a character exchange between another PC or player character would contribute to my story building in the world. A trailer or a big hub in the beginning, no player characters are paying attention to the other player characters in that. It's just,
and it kind of basically kills the whole aspect of the lore behind the individual races that they put into the game, because they've all, you know, you're gonna see some of their kin when you're adventuring out, but it's gonna fall under because you've got these main central hubs. So you know, it's always a risk. I can understand why some of these games do that, because of the lack of people playing, or you know, the older zones are just so underpopulated, so they'll create these central hubs where people can all get together and try and find groups faster or connections for guilds and friendships. But you know, if you do it right, you know, and actually pay attention to your world, because that's the thing, you know, that's the difference. Brad's creating a world. He's not trying to just create a game, he's trying to create a world, you know, so that means that all the older stuff, the starting cities, will always be living. There'll always be changes coming to those areas to keep it populated, to keep it interesting for everyone going forward.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
So, change of pace. Would you like to see an open world housing system, or instanced, or even a mix of both? What would your preference be?
Definitely a mix of both. Housing is one of those features in a game that I know really never, I don't know if it's going to make launch, who knows, if it's going to do that, but it needs to be there. I really was a fan of, excuse me if I'm peeking on my mic, I really was a fan of the EverQuest 2 housing system, that sort of instanced thing where people could go in. I really kind of like Black Desert Online. The way they do it is interesting, but it's so detached from the rest of the world that there's nothing feels unique about it. But I've always been a proponent of, and oh boy, I shouldn't mention this game, EverQuest Landmark. EverQuest Next Landmark. That's
Don't get journalists started.
Don't. I'm going to break out in tears.
I don't want to. I was a big supporter of that.
Yeah.
And they had me hook, line, and sinker. That was always one of my dreams in a game, is to have a fully deformable, destructible world. And the things you could create were just limitless. And I thought that was just brilliant, to be able to create a housing system for people. But I can see the limitations there, especially with the engine that they're using. But housing, when it comes down to it, housing needs to be in there. And it needs to be something that if a person's running by a building, they should be able to determine, does somebody live there? Or is there a group of people, guild house, whatever? It's got to be there.
I'm getting water in my eyes thinking about Landmark.
Don't get me going.
Oh, don't, honestly.
I was really committed to that.
Yeah.
What a terrible, terrible thing.
Yep.
I'm just going to shake my head again.
Hey, what you dude, if you didn't play it, dude, you don't understand. You don't understand where I'm coming from.
I couldn't 3D model my way out of a box.
But Chris, if you're into it still, if you're into the building, you can actually get the original engine behind it, Voxel Studio, and mess around with that. Yeah, I'm doing that as well in my free time.
Yeah, look at it. It was always an interesting concept. I thought it was going to be, well, as we all probably did, I thought it was much farther along on their back end than it turned out to be. And just, I still think that fully deformable world and destructible world is sort of the holy grail. That's, we have these systems now that are just killer systems, and all we're doing is adding lighting effects and particle effects. And,
exactly.
We need to start thinking about what people really want to do. And I will come back to Minecraft again. Minecraft, in its simplicity, was brilliant as far as its destructibility. It was perfect for a person like me that wants to dig down and see what's going on.
See how far down I can go.
It's basically that missing piece in the MMO genre that brings that full immersion all together.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Landmark and all these other games, are you currently playing anything while we're doing the long wait?
As far as MMOs, so just recently, as of when was it? Whenever it launched, Battle for Azeroth, I was playing World of Warcraft. I took a long hiatus from World of Warcraft after the Lich King sort of ended, and came back for Legion, and Legion hooked me back in. The changes that they made to Legion was fantastic. As far as simplifying the UI, I remember whenever I quit, it was 18 bars all over my screen with 80 different hotkeys, and it was just too much. And then I come back to less than 2, fantastic. But I quit when Battle for Azeroth came out. It was more the same, nothing new, stuff I've been doing, strats I've been, playing through. But right now, it's first-person shooters, pretty much. Overwatch, Battlefield 5 I just picked up. Nothing as far as MMOs except Black Desert Online, really just as an arcade kind of a game. The combat in that game is fantastic.
Cool. So, what mechanics are you mostly looking forward to?
Dare I say perception, because I know I'll get you guys off on a long tangent on that. Perception, I have my fingers crossed for that system. I don't think I've ever experienced a system like what I think their vision for it is. But I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully they can do it right, at least in my head. That gives you a sense of change in the world when you pass by an object or you pass by a person or an NPC, that you now have new information and you now have to do some work to find out what that information is. So perception is definitely sort of integral to what my interests are in Pantheon.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, I also think, because they can really do great things with it, but they can also get lazy with it as well. So I just hope they just expand on that.
Yeah, I don't want it to turn into a exclamation mark quest giver type
exactly
thing.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, Yarn, sorry to interrupt you, Josh. Yarn, we're getting some reports that Chris is a little bit low.
Well, there's
in
nothing.
comparison to the rest of us.
There's nothing I can do. I can try and. What if I can turn him up in Discord?
You could probably turn him up in Discord and lower your volume just a smidge, and to even it out so people can change their volumes accordingly.
I can throw my gain up a little bit if that helps.
Yeah, we'll try that out first because I don't know where in this setting I can do that. Can't individually. Oh, there we go. User volume. Try that a bit as well. Okay, so we'll try that. Sorry, folks.
Very weird, very strange. So yeah, I was watching Ready Player One the other day, and I thought, yeah, pretty cool concept. Good book, better book than the movie. But yeah, if VR was part of Pantheon anytime in the future, type of thing, what would you look forward to the most in Pantheon?
VR, so I have an Oculus, and I'm one of the early adopters of that, and VR is it's weird. It's another kind of holy grail for me. So immersion, that's the first thing I think of when I think VR. Immersion to me comes sort of two integral things, especially if I'm just looking on it on a monitor. 2D first person. So I played EverQuest in first person. I didn't play it in third person, and the combat system in EverQuest was very simple. It was very slow and methodical, which looks to be the case here with Pantheon. Well, not slow and methodical, but deliberate. And virtual reality might benefit from a game like this where you can immerse yourself. But I don't know if a third-person camera. We are in the time of the third-person, ego-driven, I need to see my character at all times kind of games. And I get the appeal, but I'm just not one of those people that get that. I prefer first person. It's like I played Skyrim in first person, and I saw people streaming it in third, and I couldn't understand how they could do that. It just would ruin it for me.
It was a waste.
The VR hasn't been. There hasn't been that app yet or that game yet that has done it justice. Yeah.
See, my fear with doing something like an MMO with virtual reality is being a career tank. I'm going to be sitting at my PC play going,
yeah.
Hey, at least you're
just trying to see everything around me.
Lex, but at least
I'm lazy.
At least you'll get that workout that you finally need.
I don't need that workout. That's why I'm a programmer. Oh, so here's a loaded question, and you can ask me to elaborate if you want. Does size matter? Would you like a little elaboration?
I would say I would want elaboration, but you know what? No, because I know it does. So it does.
Okay, on to the next question. Should size matter or your height matter when you're playing an MMO?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yes, I think it should. I remember EverQuest 1 when ogres could block doorways. I thought that was fantastic, that two ogres could just stand there and block an entrance to a zone and you couldn't get... I thought that was awesome because it created hatred towards those players. It was a game mechanic that players could, I hate to use the word exploit, but they could basically exploit their way to just controlling an area. And then that ruined your reputation on the server. And it just created more drama, more immersion, into the point where you just, anytime you saw somebody with that guild tag, you knew you had to, either get back at them. So should it
pop
matter?
some popcorn.
Yeah, exactly. Should it matter? Not to some of the aspects of the game, but being able to block an entrance to a zone, or not be able to access a certain area because of your height. Little halfling can't jump high enough. You know what? It builds team building, or it's a team building thing, especially with teleports. I know that's a big thing. I don't know how they're going to handle it, but teleport classes should only be the only classes that have the ability to teleport other players. That quick travel, it's a whole other topic of discussion, but quick travel, should
Yeah,
be
that's
limited.
a whole show.
Yeah, that's a whole entire thing. But
I was distracted. Wait. Did you just say that's a whole new different
Battery
show?
low.
What was that? What was
Yes.
that?
oh,
he
Quick
brought
travel.
up. He brought up teleporting and quick travel.
Ah, okay. I think
Charging
we've done
battery.
one though on that, haven't we?
We've done a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have.
Chris, fortunately, we've covered that
Battery
one.
low.
size does matter. Put it. It should.
As it should.
Yep, it should. And I think I've just lost my.
How would
mic.
how would you feel if the size of your character, for example, say an ogre,
2 seconds.
didn't say you were going over a bridge that had a little bit of physics
Charging
to it.
battery.
An ogre would say make that sway a lot more versus say a halfling where they could almost run across with no detrimental effects whatsoever. Would you think that would be a benefit or perhaps detrimental to your experience?
The more fallacies, the more challenges that a character has to play the game, the better the immersion is. The more opportunities for a character to experience their own, their own faults.
Right.
it
Overcome their
just-
weaknesses.
Exactly. I remember Human Warrior, EverQuest. I couldn't see anything at night. My first character died in, I think, West Common Lands, and I needed a necromancer to find my body. Did anybody here see my corpse? I mean, right? So, yeah, it's one of those things that I fell in love with the guy who helped me because of my own shortcomings that I couldn't see. So
Yeah.
definitely character weaknesses have to be there. Yes, you
Mhm.
can exploit. I mean, you can use those things to exploit game mechanics, but that's what builds great memories, great immersion.
I couldn't agree more.
Definitely. Yeah, we'll see what VR do if they do take that into account. So here's one for you, theoretical, a what if. Now just picture yourself, you're in game, in the world of Terminus, and you stumble across a hidden area in Pantheon. But you know that this area is a little too tough for you to go at it on your own. But you heard there's a treasure there that you can get that is absolutely epic. What would you do?
You just described the need to have a guild. I mean, that's immediately, if I can't, I don't want to say I'm going to exploit my way there, but if it's something that I know I can solo and it's reasonable, I would try it. But if it's something I know I'm not going to be able to do by myself, I immediately would probably first thing, guild chat. Hey guys, I got this area. Anybody else want to come explore? But I usually tend to announce those sorts of things. Hey, I discovered XYZ. Does anybody else want to come and find out what this is? 9 times out of 10, you'll find, well, I've already been there and I've already got that stuff. I don't need it. But I keep at it. I keep at the pestering the guildies so I can make sure that at least I can benefit from it as well.
Yeah, nice. So, in terms of your character creation, you've obviously millions of characters been created in the past. What feature would you do without and why? Because some of them can be really lame.
Do without. I know the ones I'd want. Do without. I would say, well, character creation. I don't know if that would apply to appearance changing.
Yeah,
throughout the game.
let's go with that as well.
Yeah, I would say dies. I think, I'm not sure, I can't remember what game it was. It was allowed dyeing your armor. Maybe it was EQ1. Allowed to dye your armor. I thought dyes ruins the immersion. I remember the first time I saw a ogre warrior in full cobalt armor, all black with the skull, and he's got his epic war swords. I said, who the hell is that guy? What is that? I need to know what that armor is and go get it myself. That right there is ruined when you're able to do whatever you want with your armor, make it any color or any texture. I get it. It's accessible and it makes you feel more epic, but it doesn't. It makes you feel like just another face in the crowd.
You're just another pink warrior.
Exactly. Yeah. Another meat shield, basically.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's nothing that really lets you stand out on your own merits.
Not at all. I mean, I wouldn't want that at all. I mean, character customization should be a blend of, you know, facial, you know, physical proportion, size, weight. If I want to be a fat human, I should be able to be just a 350-pound warrior, and just do whatever I want. But to go to the extreme, like I loved Champions Online and City of Heroes. What you could do with that character creation was just limitless, and that was fantastic. But in an MMO, it doesn't quite work. So you just make the face and body limitless, and
you're going to have a helmet on for most of the time at the upper ends anyway. So
that's one. You should be able to block your helmet. I'm a big fan of not having my helmet armor and my giant shoulder armor being shown at all. If I can hide that, the better. If I could just run around in underwear, that would be fantastic.
See, I do that too much in real life, so
yeah.
I want to try and immerse myself and lose myself.
So before we carry on, I just want to quickly remind everybody about the Pantheon Radio contest. So PantheonRadio.com are doing a Christmas competition. It starts tomorrow and ends Christmas Eve. The link to that competition is here. You basically have to answer 4 questions and enter in your email address to win a Champions Pledge package for Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. So anybody interested, give it a shot, and good luck with that.
And heck, even if you have a pledge already, enter for a friend.
Exactly. And we still have our contest ongoing. We have actually another 15 minutes and 40 seconds before we draw the winner. And you can win that t-shirt that you see on the screen. The Welcome to the Light t-shirt that was designed by Dayhawk for us. Thanks Dayhawk for that. And you can see Lexa hugging or being hugged by 2 wonderful paladins after he gave that emotional apology speech. So yeah, that's how that all came about. You can win that by typing in /!light to enter, and we will draw the winner at the end of the show and get you that t-shirt sent off.
You
so
can forever
before
display to the world my shame. Because if I win it, I'm gonna burn it.
But hey, if you win it and you do burn it, you have to film it.
I will. I'll be dancing around it too. All right, carrying on. So we've heard a little bit about what you don't really want to see in terms of character customization. What if we broaden that to extent to like the whole game? Is there anything that you've seen in other titles that you really kind of don't want to see in Pantheon?
I mentioned it before, looking for group tools, grouping tools. That's the thing I really don't want to see in its current iterations in a lot of games. I'd like to see something, but the ability to enter a dungeon from the other side of the game and then just be ported back there just is a deal breaker for me. I wouldn't want to see that in a game that's trying to foster community. I want to see a better version of looking for group tools. I don't think it exists, at least that I know of, to where I would want to, all right, I'm looking for group, guildies aren't available, friends are offline, let me roll the dice and find some random group of nobodies and plebs, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with it. But hopefully that isn't the standard that people, or isn't the standard type of application for a looking for group tool going forward, at least.
Yeah.
Yep. So here's a good question. Does it matter what gender you play? If so, what is your preference in game?
It really doesn't matter, but I still just prefer to play male. I mean, it doesn't really matter at all. But I will say there's one aspect that I dislike about Black Desert, which is you're locked into a gender for whatever class that you want to choose. I think that's just silly. I get it. It's probably just laziness, and they're just trying to build.
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's.
It's like there's like 1 in 100 chance that there's actually valid, logical reasons why this should not be able to be played with another gender. For example, if it was an Amazon.
Sure.
Don't really know many male Amazons.
Yeah.
But more often than not, it's just being lazy.
Yeah. Complete choice up to the player.
Yeah, exactly.
And hopefully I won't be able to identify as, I identify as a certain gender, but I'm really not.
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't go that far.
Better not, that's for sure. So in terms of in Pantheon, they're going to have various environments that are sounding pretty good. Like maybe they'll have environments that lack gravity, that type of thing. What environments are you looking forward to the most to spend time in?
Where the environment makes it difficult to survive. I'm looking forward to that aspect.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to anything that throws an unconventional challenge to me, whether it's I need a certain type of armor, or whatever it is, magic item, whatever that is. If the environment itself is a hazard, that's fantastic. That's exactly what it should be. I shouldn't be able to run around in a lava world and just go exploring without some chance of dying just from extreme heat. I know Conan Exiles does a good job of that. Yeah, I could have to take off my armor and run around naked.
It would make sense.
Yeah, I mean Conan Exiles
don't have to go like
well.
all the way, but because I don't want to be running around in a lava zone going, for the love of God, Yarn, put on some pants.
Loincloth of fire protection +2. I mean, whatever it may be.
It also helps with the itching.
Yeah.
Oh, so here's a question that might be a little difficult. How do you feel about data mining and websites that kind of exploit data mining? And exploit's a strong word, like giving walkthroughs or potentially finding things like models that are added in a patch but are in preparation for another expansion, and how that stuff kind of gets discovered and released to the world, and it's like, oh look, cat's out of the box. It's
inevitable. It's going to happen. I think we're at a point now where game companies cannot keep that information away from players. It's going to happen. Pantheon head or whatever is probably going to pop up if it hasn't already. But all I can say is it does everybody a disservice by having a central location for that stuff. I remember, old, having binders full of printed out documents and maps and locations and names. And I'm not saying that's better, but if there was an in-game way to communicate that sort of information, it would be better. In-game, having an easily accessible database within game or a way to communicate, it would be much better. But data mining is going to happen. I don't like it, but I'm guilty of using it. When I don't know something.
I'm pretty sure everyone's guilty of it, because I know I am.
It's tough to stay away from an easy, low-hanging fruit there.
You just triggered a really neat idea in my brain. What if libraries in the game actually served a real purpose like that, to where people could... It's almost like a wiki page access through the game's library.
You have to incentivize it in-game, though. Because it's easier for me to Alt-Tab and go to a page than it is to travel somewhere.
Exactly.
Massive experience gains or something.
Right. There would be a lot of, minute details that would have to be kind of worked out. But you could do something where, say, your entries are paid, or by how many people give it a thumbs up or something like that,
Sure.
As an example. That would probably keep me from alt-tabbing to my browser.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
provided it's a good interface.
The lore is there. The Keeper is a perfect example of something or a tool or an idea that's in the game or in the lore to be able to be a repository of knowledge and facts.
Right.
It's already there. So just incentivizing it. But I don't think it's going to make it. It'll be something that they try, or they could try, but I don't think it would ever be successful. It's never going to stop people from
doing their own thing. Yeah.
Traditionally, people will, people are kind of like water. They will take the route of least resistance.
Yeah.
I can't say I blame them, because there are days where I just don't feel like dealing with the, trying to solve this riddle. or something of that nature, and just be like, just tell me what I gotta say, you know, to move on with my life. Moving on, would you care to share with us a little bit of information about your YouTube channel?
Well, it's a fairly new channel. I've only been putting out videos for a little while, maybe a year or so. It's really just a way to market. It's really just a way to market my voice. That's really all it's there for. I want to use that channel to just, you know, bring some people to into the channel, into the lore that I want to sort of get out there. But it's there as a marketing tool for myself. I'm not going to lie. But I'm not promoting anything but my voice on that site. So the YouTube channel is Chris Kane, if nobody knows. But I find it's interesting that I get a lot of feedback from other game players that I wouldn't normally get on Twitter or, you know, any of the other social media sites, because that's where gamer at heart, and gamers just sort of populate YouTube. So it's been interesting so far, and I'm not looking to grow a massive amount there. It's just really, for me, I'll put it this way. Simple answer is it feeds my creative out. I need a creative outlet. I'd like to just share it and get it out there. So I just need to be able to create something and have somebody else look at it.
So in that regard, would you be streaming Pantheon on your channel in the future if you wanted?
Yeah,
or would you be doing it?
Most likely, but it won't be to the depth that, you know, full-time streamers are going to do it. I don't want to say it ruins it, but maybe, you know, after I've experienced or sort of got into the world a little bit and gone through some trials by myself, I would consider, you know, streaming it. But for me, it's not a priority. It's fun. But.
So, besides Pantheon, what other things could people expect to see on your channel in the future?
Oh, I prefer to use the channel to at least educate about good audio, and hopefully I have good audio now, but to be able to teach or train somebody in what it takes to either, you know, be a voice actor, or vocal exercises, or how to produce better sound, or mic technique, or whatever it may be. Those sorts of things I enjoy, and will be sort of the base of what I create.
So next, we need to get you hooked up with Chris, so that we can work out the issues we're having with you, because you know, you keep on dragging us down. So you need to take some lessons from Chris.
That was the contract that I signed.
You know, and Josh gets a pass because he's known as a silver fox. So, you know, there's nothing you can do, bro.
See, you people see what I'm dealing with? You're the boss man. Then you got Josh, who gets along with his good look. He gets by his good looks.
It's okay, Lex. I still love you.
God, well, at least somebody does.
So you kind of answered the first question, or the first bit of this question about your voice acting. But do you offer your voice, and where would one go to inquire about it, to do some work for them?
Definitely. If anybody's interested in using this voice for a project, or, you know, whatever, a YouTube channel, whatever it is, everybody can find me on a site called Vocal Forge. Vocalforge.com is my website, and you can contact me there. I mean, all my demos and stuff like that are up there, but I'm willing to really help out anybody in any of the industries that I enjoy, which is gaming, all day long. So if anybody's interested, vocalforge.com.
Cool.
I'm sure Yarn's not going to leave you alone now. Between you and Lionheart,
I can see it now. These two amazing voices.
No, they're going to be reading the telephone book, and people fall asleep with a happy smile on their face.
Sure.
Nah, definitely.
Oh.
Right. So, in terms of the new character models in the game, which is your favorite that you've noticed?
Ogre jumped out at me immediately. That's the way an ogre should look like, in my opinion. They've always been so over the top, and the way it kind of looks like an orc, but not really. I mean, it's a very aggressive looking model, but being what I think of as a as a true ogre, something that's fighting, something that's ready to rip your head off. So much so that human and halfling are my sort of first ones. If I kind of don't like the cut of their jib in the beginning, it may be right to ogre, because nothing in my head says warrior than ogre warrior. So I may lean towards them, but they looked fantastic. They've all looked pretty. The changes look fantastic. Really more than I kind of hoped for. Like, I didn't quite expect the halflings to look, as good as that.
Yeah, true.
But the ogres look fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah, they do.
Hopefully, well, one thing I will say, and I don't know if I'm going to poke any behinds here, but the scar, the change that or I don't know if they redesigned it, but I haven't seen anything official. But that change with the scar really didn't sit well with me. The original model looked.
You are my kindred spirit.
All right, so it looked not fantastic. The original model or the design looked
creative,
pretty good,
interesting.
It was unique, but this change, not personally, not in the right direction I envisioned for that character. Not that I have anything to say in the matter, but it doesn't bring me any closer to wanting to play it. Like the Archai definitely has the Dark Mirror has definitely interesting things about it. But the scar just fell flat for me.
Yeah, I have been a Scar fan since day one, and it actually breaks my heart to say that I am so displeased with the changes of the Scar that I'm seriously considering doing an Ogre Direlord, because they are no longer the Scar that I fell in love with.
Yeah, definitely, I agree.
But there's still, but there are still...
There is still time to be redeemed. We don't see them in
not just
yet.
that, if we look at the Scar, the lore as well, they have a hierarchy. They have the simple Scar, they have the militant Scar, they have the elder Scar. So maybe, what we saw was the simplest Scar.
Maybe. All we can do is form our own opinions on what information we have, which granted, that newsletter was a lot of very good information. I'd like that they were going into more detail about how they operate and such, but it really took something that to me was the embodiment of aggression and kind of just made them look like, ooh, I'm mean, stay away from me. It's like, I'm sorry, they're a joke.
I'm not going to go that far, but yeah, that's pretty damn close.
Yeah. Well, I am also harsh because people know that even though I love Visionary Realms with all my heart, but when they do something stupid, I'm going to be the first one to stand up and be like, that's dumb. And that is dumb.
Hopefully they want that kind of feedback, because
exactly.
I hope so too, because honestly, I'm not out to make them angry. I'm not out to make enemies. I'm not out to put them down or make people walk away from the game or anything like that.
No.
I'm hard on them because I love the Scar, I love Dire Lords, and I want them to be everything they can be.
Yeah.
He's very passionate about the Scar.
And I would expect nothing less from a Paladin fan, from a Cleric fan, or even a Halfling fan. I want them to be just as mad or upset, I should say that, upset or disappointed if something went in a way they were not happy with.
Well, since I feel that way, and I can see that you do, Lex, I have a feeling it's not just me or you that's getting hit. It seems like a very strange change to make. That quote that late in the game.
My feeling is that they heard Lex's punting of halflings as a Scar, and I think that's what said, "Oh, we better just tone down this character." I think that's the reason.
Maybe it's all some elaborate joke at my expense, which that's fine. I'm
it's
used
like,
to it being on
surprise, April Fools.
But anyway, we got to get off this topic because this is not about me and my opinions. Because I know that's going to be a comment on YouTube. But I'm actually kind of curious. What inspired you to start making the lore videos?
Purely out of my own desire to create something. It was well written. and I was looking for a vehicle to allow me to explore character creation, because a lot of voiceover work that I do is very just, you know, we want a deep voice and we want gravitas and we want to believe what you're saying, and I wanted to be able to create a character for myself. So I tried to combine what I wanted to hear in a voice with the writing of something that was pretty well written. The lore, barring a few grammatical errors and a few spelling mistakes, it's well written, and it just lends itself to an over-the-top, over-characterized sort of, you know, Raceland Magir out of Dragonlance meets, you know, Solid Snake. And, you know, I wanted to try to combine two voices.
Love that series.
Yeah, Dragonlance is great. So I wanted to try to combine a mysterious sounding voice with my natural voice, and, you know, combine it in a way that brought myself deeper into a project that I wholeheartedly support. Because I'm sick and tired of feeling, I hate when those threads will pop up on a website or a forum that will say, "Oh, nostalgia, you'll never get that feeling again," or you're trying to recapture nostalgia. You can't do it. Well, I think you can, but you have to just sort of flow with the technology changes. You can capture those same feelings that you had, but you should be able to use the new technology to capture the same things.
Capturing the same feeling in a different way.
Totally.
Basically, is what I like to tell people.
Yeah. So that's it. It started from my passion for creating sound to wanting to support the game in the best way that I could. I mean, we can all support it with money, which is actually probably the best way to support it. But this is the only way that I know to bring people into the things that I want to experience in a game. Give somebody a sense of a little cue in their head that will allow them to say, I want to explore that world. And there's been a few comments on the videos where say, well, now I can't wait to get in and experience Sohireth or whatever it may be. And that's the goal. That's purely the goal in this particular series. That and it's well written. It's really
very, very well done, and it's a really good listen as well. When you're reading off the lore and telling the story and everything, it's wonderful to listen to. They've definitely done a fantastic job on those lore videos. So,
thank you.
On that note, which lore of Pantheon has you in awe the most?
In awe the most? Well, I would say the Age of Chaos. Well, yes, not even a specific age. It would probably be, you know, it's going to sound incredibly cliche, but the dragon lore. You know, the dragon hierarchy and discovering. I have always been in love with dragons ever since, you know, Dragonlance and Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. And it's been, I got to say it, it's been overdone, and everybody has a different take. But we've all, I think dragons have gotten away from what I think they truly are, which was, you know, sort of D&D version 1 of dragons, where you did have a hierarchy and you had different types and you had different lores associated with them. And the way that VR is sort of capturing the idea of dragons with a hierarchy and a, you know, an embattlement between, you know, high mortals and gods is exactly what I'm sort of in awe of. It has a lot of runway. There's a lot of runway there for the writers to create stories that really embrace dragon lore specifically. And hopefully they can keep that, because, yeah, granted, I know it's my own ego, which will say, well, as soon as you're done killing them in game, they don't mean anything anymore. So I hope, I really do hope, that the dragon lore is something that's mysterious enough to not warrant a entire expansion of just dragons, or an entire level of just dragons.
I want cults to be built around dragons if need be.
Sure.
You know?
I'd actually love to see, you know, a build-up for the dragon lore be over multiple expansions. So it's not something that happens, you know, in an expansion. It actually builds up piece by piece, we, the people exploring the world, running around, who engage in the lore and everything, unlock little trinkets and information and tidbits about these mystical beasts, these dragons and such, and basically there's a major build-up coming, and it could take 5, 6, 7 years till the big explosion happens. But going through those expansions and going through those years, the build-up, the suspense gets bigger and bigger, and it starts to reveal itself even more, and I'd love to see something like that happen.
Starting out with a seed of dragons is exactly what they should be doing. I mean, I know when you're creating, every time I go to the Pantheon page, or I'm reading something and I see that old style artwork, it's sort of, it reminds me of two things. One, yeah, we've lost a lot in as far as good writing and good lore development in most modern games, but it reminds me of, I would say, a travesty. Actually, I'm from Rhode Island in the United States, and we had pretty much a debacle of a game company. So this is 38 Studios. I don't know if anybody knows that.
Yeah.
But, okay,
yeah.
So the Kingdoms
that was popcorn material right there.
Yeah. So it's the development. So there's a very long story behind that. But Kurt Schilling, if you don't know, he's a pitcher, Red Sox. He was on a forum called Fires of Heaven. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but that was an old game, old guild in EverQuest, and the forum has been alive forever. And he used to be on there posting, and that was, 2003, 4, 2, and he would post about his ideas, and he wanted to make a game. He wanted to make his own game company, and I think he was posting on his website. It was 2004 when the Red Sox won the World Series for the first time in like 80 years, and he was posting about what game he wanted to see. So I was hooked. I immediately said, "Oh, this is going to be great," and started following it. Now, long story short, it just fell apart. And I think the key to him, besides the financial stuff, because I know too much about it just from hearing it from our own press here, besides the financial aspects and the duplicity of our government, the lore was not in place. They were trying to build a world with Reckoning, Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. They were trying to build that world, but the lore wasn't there. They didn't give tools out to the community and say, we need help with this lore. I don't want to say that's why it failed, but I had no interest in the game at all because there was no lore in it. What VR is doing, I would say they need to double down on it now more than ever. Give the creative people out in the world, give us tools. Give us tools, and we will create things for you, and that will help you generate your own lore. It's needed more than ever.
What's actually kind of interesting is there's a lot of very talented fan fiction writers that follow Pantheon. I've read a few, and they've been just I couldn't tell that it was a fan fiction. It felt like a proper author. If these people were given the proper guidelines and maybe a little bit of collaboration with the people who are involved with lore, they could craft stories about the Deicide War, little side stories and stuff that would help really fill out and round the lore.
That would actually be a really cool concept to do as well. I think EverQuest did this in EverQuest 2, Flashback to the Past or something, where you could basically travel back in time and see how it used to be, blah, blah, blah. I could see little things like that happen where we have the outlining of the basic Deicide War, the dragons, what happened there, the Age of Chaos, etc. We have the baseline, but creating little short stories in depth, going into certain aspects of it, and having those be revealed to us as little live updates, little like adventure packs that people could go and explore who are interested in that kind of thing, over spread out over the years and everything. I think that'd be pretty cool. Getting these little flashbacks come up, basically, and also, that you could go and explore and learn more and learn a deeper understanding of what actually transpired in that time.
And also maybe getting community short stories together. So they have just like competitions to maybe win a free copy or something like that. and people can write in with those type of stories. They could probably gain a lot of ideas from people's ideas.
You want an easy way to basically reward people for writing really good quality stories? You put it into a PDF as a novella, put it on the website.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the thing is as well,
there you go.
You know, it's
you run the risk of one thing, and I don't want to bring it up, but you run the risk of one thing, and that is, and I don't want to say it again, Landmark. That's what they were doing. They were trying.
Yeah.
Well, at least that's what they said they were doing. We're trying to let the users build the content for the next EverQuest game. You can do it, but you're right. You have to incentivize it, but you also have to join it up with a way that is not going to destroy whoever's vision this game is, if it's Brad's or not. That vision has to remain singular. It can't go off the rails. So if you can create a system to submit work or compilations or machinima or whatever it's going to be, if it can build towards that vision,
there's got to be some quality control ultimately.
Right.
Sure.
But that's why writers in this, as an example in this case, they would need guidelines. They would be given a hero, a little background about that hero, what they did, and try to have people like, you know, these are your notable characters and this is why they're notable. And you'd have to work it all in and actually craft a story with the information you have.
But that's the thing, though, isn't it, though, with the lore from Pantheon? The way it's written, they left so much room to come in and just make a full U-turn or add a twist or add a plot in without it damaging the rest of their lore going forward. And that's what I love about the way they've written their lore. There's so much room for expansion, for just going absolutely crazy and going, hey, guess what? We're going to surprise everybody, and whoop, the big explosion happens. You're like, no, I did not see that coming. And when that happens, you're going to be like, I did not see that coming, but it fits. It's like that wow moment. That's, you know, that's what I love about the way they've written their lore. It's so open, and they left themselves little vines to go in all kinds of different directions and to see what happens.
Which is why I hope they use perception to sort of embody what lore could be. If you combine those two things, you build a deep world, and more importantly, a deep curiosity about both the world and the lore. So hopefully.
Yeah, well, let's get a little back on track here, because unfortunately my time has been defined. So I'm kind of curious, with all your lore videos, if there has been any lore that you think, like, the nuances of the story have been kind of missed by people. And if you do, if there was any particular example that might kind of stand ahead of the others.
Missed by people. I don't think anything has been missed, because I'm not adding anything. I'm not really adding anything to it. I mean, if anything, I'm changing slight things with grammar, but I'm not adding anything to it. I just want to read it, and I'm not trying to interpret it like I would a drama. I'm trying to approach it as a historian recounting an event. Not necessarily something that can be interpreted, but if I had to pick one thing that, you know, a person might not realize, is that the character of the keeper, I guess, is the historian of the truth, or in his mind. So if they miss something, it would be the fact that he's just recalling information. There is no, you know, subterfuge here. It's all just here's my facts, and this is what it is. So I don't think anybody's going to miss anything. I don't think, because it's written well, and I'm simply trying to get those words out.
Right. So do you happen to have any kind of little sneak peek about what you might be talking about next?
Yeah, I've released a little teaser picture of, I want to talk about the races. Humans are going to be my first race. Of course, they're going to be my first race. But I want to sort of dive into the races first over 9 short episodes. In fact, I'll probably be doing the humans out this weekend. But I want to also touch on the classes. I'm hesitant about the classes. It's gonna change. Once I put them out there, it's going to be patches are going to change classes and things are going to change completely. But for the most part, upcoming in the future is really going to be talking about the races. The common ones, I'm not putting a lot of effort in. I'm not putting a lot of effort into it. Not a lot of production. Like the humans, very simple, because we know them. However, the Dark Mirror, I want to spend a lot of time because there's so little that we can glean from the site that I want to create a sense of mystery. Well, the Dark Mirror specifically, the Archive, and the Scar are the ones that, if you're going to pull players in to a game, it's going to be those races that nobody has ever seen before or had considered before. I remember Guild Wars 2 had a race. What was that? It was like a leaf. They were like a plant race. And I hadn't seen that before. And I thought that was awesome. And it sucked me right in. And I started playing. I can't remember the name of it. Hopefully no Guild
I remember
Wars
it
2
started with an S. Sylvari or something like that?
Sylvari, that's what it was. Yeah.
Ha!
Well done, Lex.
Sylvari. Yeah.
Meanwhile, I can't remember what I had for breakfast.
But the Dark Mirror, I can't wait for. Can't wait to sort of dive in and make people think about that particular race, because that's going to be interesting.
Nice. So if you could copy a character creation section from another game and add it to Pantheon, what game would it come from and why?
Well, I already said Champions Online, and that just wouldn't work. Or I should say City of Heroes. It just wouldn't work. But I would say I'd want a mix of facial and body feature sliders, maybe even Skyrim. The Skyrim features were kind of interesting within their own races. It was a bit limited, but you could create some interesting characters there. I would say my favorite one would probably be Conan Exiles, just because I've been playing it recently, and you have limited control, but enough to make them look pretty unique. Character creation and customization it's a double-edged sword for me, because I don't want to go too crazy. And I'm sure the producers don't want 900-pound looking freak blobs running around on their game. But I'll remember the 900-pound, halfling running by, and it will create a sense of, interest in that character. So hopefully,
wearing an apron and eating pies. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, with no shoes on. That's a tough question, because I'd want as much customization, but I don't want to ruin at the cost of immersion.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
Right. So let's jump ahead here a little bit. Let's kind of use our imagination, fast forward 3 years into the future. What would you imagine that Pantheon has become?
I was thinking about a second home for myself. It's become an outlet for people to both express community thoughts and emotions, sort of like, it's a bad example, but sort of like social media does today, but in an environment similar to what maybe Second Life sort of did, but it should be a fantasy slash fantasy Second Life that is immersive in its storytelling. I hope that they can remain true to community and not buckling under, let's make it more accessible to people. I think accessibility is a wonderful thing when your bottom line is profits, and I would like to think that that's not the bottom line. Maybe for about 5 to 10 years down the road, because it's going to take 3 years for a game like this. I don't know, I'm not going to make any guesses, but it's going to take years for a game like this to turn people's heads. Modern players, modern game players, battle royale players, instant gratification players. It's going to take years for a game like this to turn people's heads to a relaxing game content that you can enjoy with friends.
Yeah, no, it's true. It is a niche game as well, but I hope that a lot more players do see the light.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Drinking.
Making that noise. Out of my man cave.
Don't to see the no girls allowed sign.
I'm going to lose another finger. So, if you could attend a Pantheon-like event, how far would you travel to get there, and what would get you there?
How far would I travel? Well, so I'm from Rhode Island, if I haven't mentioned before. Rhode Island is the tiny little state. It's the littlest state. And we have a unfortunate predilection of not wanting to travel more than like 20 minutes. That obviously would change, but if there was a Pantheon or a Pan convention that was in Boston or New York, I would love to go to one of those things, and probably will the next time, or if there is one with enough support for it. I would easily travel. That would make me travel. Just it existing close to me would be enough to make me travel.
Nice. So, are you planning on joining a guild at any one point for the game when it gets closer to release? And what type of guild would be your preference?
I've been in Fires of Heaven for I don't know how long. With every game they've ever gone to, we usually start up a guild, but definitely you need to join a guild. I mean, I'm sure you can go solo, but it defeats the purpose of a game with community as its backbone.
Sure.
But I look for, I would say, more seasoned, to put it nicely, more seasoned gamers that have sort of been around the block, that understand the foibles of guild chat. It's a tough thing to do, but you can find a group of like-minded players, or if you can find a group of like-minded players, it's you got to stay with them. You got to last with them for years, pretty much. Definitely join a guild.
Good.
So, here we are again. The most important question. The entire interview has been completely just a ruse so that you will answer this one question.
Really?
Who is the VOT host with the most?
Host with the most? Jeez. I'll go with Josh.
Yes.
Oh, see?
We're not kindred spirits anymore.
I hate Scar.
He's real broken up about that one.
Awesome. So, before we all end it here, again, Chris, thanks for joining us. Thanks for actually stepping out of your way to, on short notice, to come on to the show. We did actually plan to have you on next year, but because of high demand, we got Chris on earlier. So thanks again for joining us. But before we go, I'm going to quickly remind everybody about the Pantheon radio competition. That starts tomorrow and ends Christmas Eve. Go to that link, answer 4 questions, enter your email address to get a chance to win a Champions Tier pledge. And now we shall see who is the lucky winner of the Welcome to the Light t-shirt. I'm going to pick the winner right now. Here we go. Congratulations.
Whoever wins is going to be the one to hug me at the first Pantheon. I just know it.
Congratulations. Well done, Lionheart. Congratulations.
Lionheart. Wow.
If he's even here.
Brilliant.
We'll see. I don't know. He's not saying anything.
Lion.
There he is. He's there.
Oh, there he is.
There's my line. There.
Congrats. So click on that link, mate, and it should take you to a special secured page for you to input your information. Next week we'll be doing another player Q&A where we sit down with World of Monsters and talk to them about Pantheon. And on the 14th of December, our final show for the year, it will be a community show. We will have guests on again. We will look at the past half year of Pantheon, what's happened, what's coming up, talk about all that good stuff to top off the end of the year, and then we will go on a long deserved break until the middle of January. So,
you know, I think this will be the 3rd community show we've done this year.
Yep.
I'm trying my best to scare everybody off, and it's not working.
You're doing a really awful job.
Apparently so. I need to work harder. I gotta learn more swear words.
Well, we could always use
You
G'day.
can learn anymore.
G'day, mate.
Today, mate.
No.
Anyway, thanks for joining us, Chris. It was wonderful to have you on.
Yeah.
If there's
great to hear from you, Chris.
ever a topic we discuss and you've got the time, you want to come in and chime in, lend us that wonderful voice.
Great.
Go ahead, dude. So with that, everybody, we will see you all next Friday. Have a great weekend and see you all soon.
Take care. Yeah.
Be safe, everybody. Don't hug any paladins.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.